Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender. Me, myself, and I play through the main event scenario. Game is published by GMT Games, designed by Salvatore Vasta. We are getting ready to go into the Soviet Operations phase. There was one thing I did forget to do. It's kind of buried, but the American surprise attack marker had to actually come off and go onto the faction, or not the faction card, but the faction card. Surprise attack marker holding back. So I get it back in production phase. It doesn't stay on the board for the Russian turn. Okay, and in the Soviet side, they do have a surprise attack marker. They have 58 points, which means they could spend 38 and still be able to rebuild this. If they're going to bring back their airplanes, that's 15, so they can spend 23. I don't see myself activating more than about 10 units, but if I use this surprise attack marker, I might be able to get a couple of these garrisons out of the way so that I have kind of penetration, is what I'm hoping for. So we're going to try and play it that way. I'm trying to figure out where the best place is to place this. Do I want to go through Warsaw, or do I want to bust out here? I think I want to bust out to the north, right? So we want to put it like here. So that's 1, 2 to there, there, to there, to there, to there. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So Soviets played their surprise attack marker. Again, gets rid of the +1 and all the in the poor zone stuff. And then there have their assaults. See, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So an armored would be 6. And here would be 1 with an armored 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. I can throw in an airplane for 6 to make it 5 to 0. 6 to 0 with surprise attack marker. And then what do I do? If I take the space, or I win the combat, just take the space. And then try and do a 3 and then a 2 on that infantry. It'd be better if we could do a 3 on that infantry, but I don't think I can. Well, I do have heavy artillery I could use here too. I can do lots of things here with the Russians. This is interesting. I should start my timer. I have a couple of things I can try to do here. So I think we're going to start off with the 3rd Guards Tank Army. He's going to assault here. And I'm going to add this Shock Army. So that's, bring up my national tracks here so I can keep track of my spending. I need to save 35. Right? 15 for this, or 15 for my airplanes and 20 for this. So I'm stopping at 35. I just spent 3. That's a tanks army. I only want to use him there. So if I do these 3 his way, let's see if I can make a little minor breakthrough here. So right now I would be +1 because I'm elite, +1 because he's an armored unit, right? And I get +2 for the shock guy. The German is actually at 0 because he's a garrison. And I would be -1 for weather, -1 for trees. I can throw in an airplane, right? You can't throw anything in. So I can throw in an airplane to get a +1. And do I want to throw... I want to try to make sure I retreat him. So I get +2 more, that's at least a 6. It's a pretty good chance. I only have 2 heavy artillery. I'm trying to think of where else I would use my heavy artillery. Well, I could use him and I could throw a tank on there. So then he'd be +2, and 3, 4, and 5, and 6, 7 to 2. And right now I'd be 3, 4, 5 to 2, 0. Alright, let's try this. We're going to go ahead and activate this guy as well to assault here. So I'm this armored is the primary. So he's 1 and 1. 1 for elite, 1 for an armored. +2 because of shock army. +2 armored in poor weather on an assault. So that puts us at +6. I add in 1 for an airplane. Okay? And then I'm -1 for terrain, -1 for weather. It's a +5 to a 0. Oh, and then I get a +1 for the surprise attack marker. I forgot about that. It's actually a +6 to a 0. So that's pretty good. And the Russians roll 3. +6 is a 9. That guarantees he retreats. Germans roll a 3. So a 9 to a 3 is a DD, which is better for the Russians because that means this guy goes away. He'll go. Oops, what did I do that for? We'll go up here in the eliminated box. Doesn't cost him any morale points. Now the Russians are not going to take this space because of what they're going to do for their next attack. And now they're going to call this guy assault. I should have spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have spent 5. Started here, so I go to 53. And then I just do 2, 3, 4th shock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to assault here, as well as this one assaults there. This one is the primary, and we will go throw one of our. I'm going to throw one of our tanks markers here. So right now I would be +1 because I'm elite, +1 because I think I'm an armored unit, +2 for a shock buddy helping me, +1 for the surprise attack marker, and I'm going to throw an airplane in for another +1. This airplane's reaching the limit of his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So go ahead and use him up right away. So if I got that right, I got 1 here and 1 here. That's 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to end up subtracting 1. So I really want to try to bust through here somehow. So I'm going all out, trying to make a mini breakthrough. I'm also going to throw in heavy artillery here. So that gives me +2 for heavy artillery. And then -1 for the weather. Because this is if you look, this is a clear terrain next. No rivers, no nonsense. So it's +7, and the Germans are +2 because they're German. And that's all there is to the Germans because they don't have anything they can play at this point. They used up their armor already. So +2 to +7 to +2. Russians roll 4 +7 is an 11. Germans roll a 2 +2 is a 4. So we go to combat results table. An 11 to a 4 is a DD. So I didn't eliminate him, but I did flip him. And he's forced to retreat. The only legal retreat route he has is into Königsberg. And then I have to go do things here. Reason why I'm using the heavy artillery now is it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll get them back at least by July. Tanks go over here. And the heavy artillery, I roll a die. And I got a 1, so it's actually going to be back very next turn. That's very nice. I'll get an extra use out of that one, for sure. Now, I could take the hex, but there's no reason to because I want to do something else snarky, if you want to call it that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Guards tank army here. Now, I spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is 9, 10. So I should be at 48 when I get done here. I go 1, 2, 3, and assault. And I will throw in an airplane, and I will throw in my last heavy artillery, and we'll see how that works out here. Okay. Let me make sure I got my tracks right. So I should be down 10, so it's pretty 40. Oh, what did I do that for? Taking them off the wrong place. And this guy should be at 48. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. So I'm at 48. And then this here is not nearly as good at odds as I would have liked, but it's +1 because he's elite, +1 because he's armor, +1 for the surprise attack marker, right? Don't forget that. And then +2 for the heavy artillery, and then -1 for the weather, -1 for the terrain. The Germans normally are +2, but they're -2 because they're flipped. So it's a +3 to a 0. If I can get a retreat, he'll be eliminated and I'll capture Königsberg. Yeah, gotta try, right? So the Russians roll. Ooh, a 6 + 3 is a 9 to a 0. Guarantees that he's going to be retreated, because the best he can get is a 6. And if you look at the combat results table, a 9 to a 6 is a DR. He has no legal retreat route, so he will be eliminated. So a couple things are going to happen here. First, we're going to go to the faction tower. This infantry unit goes in here. Oh, I should unhighlight him. This infantry unit goes into the eliminated box. The Russians officially take the space, so a couple things happen when I do all this. On the national tracks, first of all, I lose 1 for the unit. Then he takes the city, so I lose 2 more. And that city happens to be a factory, so my factory count marker goes down to 13. And then that's takes care of the willpower. Then, okay. Then I have to roll for the heavy artillery, and it's going to come back in 1 turn. So the Russians got massively lucky. Not only do they use their heavy artilleries, they're going to get them right back. Which means they can do this again if they want to. And that opens up some things for me to try and do. Namely, this guards unit is going to activate for 2 more. And goes on a run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But he really doesn't have a good attack on those armored units. This armored unit would defend for 2, 3, 4. Ouch. Yeah, that SS Panzer's not good news for me. But it does give me out here to kind of encircling this way, and then I'm going to do this. 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 to assault here. And the shock army will activate to help, so that's 3 more. And we're going to assault here. Why I highlighted myself. And we will throw in the airplane from up here so that I am minus. What am I doing here? Let's see. This guy, he's +1 because he's elite. I'm trying to figure out if I want to throw in the. I think I want to go ahead and just throw in the last tanks marker here, because I'll end up surrounding the 5th Panzer. He won't be able to retreat. In which case, it might be worthwhile. Yeah. Before I do this, this guy is going to officially declare that he's assaulting there. Although I'll probably call it off if I don't get this surrounding. Okay, and then this one here is +1 because he's that. I'm going to go ahead and throw tanks marker here for this one. So he is an extra +1 because he thinks he's an armored unit, and then I get +2 for the shock army. And I get +1 for the surprise attack marker, and then I'm -1 for the weather. So it's +4 to 0. And we probably should put, since I'm doing things, oops, other way. Okay, and then these two are going to assault the second garrison right away. And I threw in an airplane as well up here. So it's 1 for the armors, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then -1 for the weather. So I'm actually +5 to this garrison. +5 to 0. 6 + 5 is an 11. And the Germans rolled a 1, so that garrison is also eliminated. Don't get any willpower for it. But I do get the hex, so I can take this way. Tanks go on the turn track. And while I don't have heavy artillery, I do have an isolation here. So this assault is going to go off as well. Right now I'm +1 because I'm elite, and +2 because he's isolated. And we'll throw in this airplane that's right in front of him. So it gives me a +1 for the airplane. And I'll throw my last tanks marker there as well. And +1 for the tanks marker. So it gets me up to +5. Did I add that right? 1 for elite, 1 for tank, that's 2. 2 for isolation, that's 3, 4. And then 5 for the airplane, 6 for the surprise attack marker, -1 for the weather. Yes. And then he's +2 because he's German, and +1 because he's armor. So, there we go. +5 to +3. Russians roll. 2 + 5 is a 7. That's not good. And Germans roll. 3 + 3 is a 6, so I didn't do anything to him. I was hoping to get a spade. If I could have gotten him flipped, it would have cost him some production points to flip him back up. But now he's there, and now he's pretty much surrounded, so he has to do something about it. So that's kind of the reason why I did that. And turn track, because I have my last tanks marker. And I'm pretty much ran out of stuff I can use there. I'm going to do another quick check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Spent 15 and started at 58. So 10 and 15 puts me down at 43. And now I just do my sort of standard attacks here. 1, 3, there's 5 more, which puts me down to 38. I have to stop at 35, so not going to be, or I can leave one airplane not getting extra. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's at 5 and 15. I want to be able to rebuild the production marker. So, do I want to take this attack or this attack? It's 5 points either way. This would be 1, 2, 3, -2. God. Okay. I think we're going to do it down here. We're going to do this 5. Excuse me. That cold's coming back. So I start off at +1 for an elite, +1 for a buddy, and +2 for a shock. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, -1 for the weather, and -1 for the mountain. And the German's a 2 because he's a German. And I'm netting out at a 2. I can throw an airplane, so I will, to make it a 3. So it's +3 to a +2. Russians roll. 6 + 3 is a 9. Germans roll. 4 + 2 is a 6. 9 to a 6 is a DR. He cannot retreat, so he must be flipped. And with that in mind, then I'm going to spend another point here. So I spent 5 to do this. I'm going to spend to get to here. Spend another one to here. And I'm going to have this guy assault here. And he starts off at +1 because he's elite. I'm going to throw in an airplane to get him up to +2. And then he's -1 for the weather, -1 for the hills. And the German is back down to a 0. So it's a 0 to 0. I'm just trying to get a retreat to get the infantry unit out of the way. Dang it. So the Russians roll 5, and the Germans roll 1. Oh boy. I'm going to have to pause this and do something about my cough. Okay, I'm back. I had to get some cough drops and things and some drink for my throat. Anyway, based on the results here, because I rolled a 5 with the Russians and a 1 with the Germans, they have to retreat. They're not allowed to retreat because they don't have a legal retreat route. So German infantry goes on here. German national will goes down another one, so I'm down to 26. And the only unit that can take it is this shock army. If I had done this right, I would have done it with the Southern Shock Army making the second attack, but I wasn't thinking ahead. So rather than do that, rather than take the hex, I'm actually going to spend 1 more production point. And I'm going to move this 4th Armored Army. Hello. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just so you understand what I'm doing, I should probably start my timer again. Just to give you a quick reason why I do that. I put this in here because I have an upgrade on my card. I can turn that into a guards army. I will take off this infantry. I will take off the infantry I put up here somewhere in Minsk or something. In Minsk. Take off those 2 infantry, and then you got to go count. I have the 7th, the 11th, the 22nd, and the 21st are 4 regular infantry, and then I have this guards unit that's hanging on to Leningrad, facing the Finns. I'm never going to move him out. So basically, I'm going to put a guards unit down there, and then those will be the 5 ground units that have to stay in Russia. And everybody else can keep rushing towards Germany. And then 2 of the aircraft will stop, 3 hexes, like one will sit in Warsaw, one will probably sit just inside of Königsberg or something, and then, because that's where the 3 hexes of their border, and then they can't go any farther. And the other 3 airplanes can fly forward. So that's the whole reason for doing that. It's going to be turned into a guards army, and if the Germans really want to move forward and try and kill it with 2 units in rough terrain in February, go ahead. That's my opinion of that. Just go ahead. I only have now, I need to do 5 airplanes. That's just 15. And then I have to rebuild my surprise attack marker so I have it back for the fair weather turns at the end of in May and June. So I only have 1 point left, and I really don't have anything I can think of to really move with it at this point. The only thing I might think of moving would have been like this guards unit or this guards unit, and that takes 2, and I don't want to do that. And I don't want to attack for the same reason, because I want to be able to bring all my airplanes down, and rebuild my surprise attack marker. So the Russians are going to say they are done. Double check their supply, make sure they don't have anybody hanging out there. Pretty sure it's straightforward, and I didn't miss anybody. That's correct. So it's the end of the operations phase, and I will put this into the surprise attack holding box. And we call that the Soviet turn. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. Just Soviet operations. Nobody has a no supply marker on them, so we can skip those phases. Replacements for the Axis. They have 15. They got... Where is it? In the west? Wasn't down here in Italy, right? No, Italy held. I managed to... Yeah. I flipped this guy, so I'm going to spend 1 to do that. rather than bringing up 5 airplanes. So there's one for that. Nobody else got flipped. So I don't have any other flipped things. So that's 1. And now I can spend 12 more on airplanes. Question is do I want to build that other airplane in the east? Try and slow down the Soviets. So 1, 2. So that's 3. And then 1, 2, 3 for another one. And 1, 2, 3 for another one. And I think I'm going to build another aircraft here in Danzig in my production phase. So I'm going to stop there for my replacements and move on to the west replacements. This is where I have to go round and round in circles. First we go get the Americans out of the way, because we don't have to do points there. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. And then there's an American airplane here someplace. Just take that off. Leave those sortie markers there. I'm probably going to need them. I think that's all the free stuff the Americans can do. Got all the American airplanes and things. Okay, so now I got to do the British. Well, they're 3, 7, 10. So that's 10. You've got 3, 6. You've got 2 more guys over here. And then they have an airplane up here as well. So that leaves them with 7. They don't have anything else that they can replace. So all their fleets are at full. Okay. I think that's the British replacement phase. Soviets are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And 5. So they're at 15, and that's the replacements phase. Germans don't have an upgrade. United States doesn't have an upgrade. But the Soviets have an upgrade. And like I said, we're going to make this, the 4th Infantry will become the 9th Guards. And then we will remove, what the hell? We'll move the The guy in Minsk. As well. So now that leaves me one guy in Bessarabia. This is for home defense. There's one just outside of Leningrad, and then there's two in the northern here. So that's 4 out of 5 units that I need to have. So, and I have a guy sitting in Leningrad right now, which I probably won't ever bother to move because it's just a pain in the butt. And I don't want to waste my time playing back there. So, yeah, that looks like that's the upgrade phase. Mobilization for the Axis. They have the ability to mobilize some stuff. They have their national tracks here. They have 5. So I think they're going to go ahead and spend 5. They're going to take the airplane. They're going to put it... God damn it. They're going to drop it in Danzig. Remember, that is a German city now because it's inside the Polish quarter ceded area. Don't know how much it'll help me, but at least I can do that. And then, since I spent 5 and that was 3, so I get 2 German infantry units here. And I'm just trying to figure out where I need to put them. It's looking mighty thin here, like they're going to get a breakthrough. I'm probably going to have to set myself up to give them a couple extras. So, we'll drop the German infantry on this side of the board. And that's my alarm going off. But we're pretty much done here. We're at production phase. And so that's the Axis production. Going to the West. The West has stuff to build. Stuff to build to the left and the right and up and down. U.S. will build their surprise attack marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, coming back in May. And the UK, since they have the points and don't have anything else better to do with them, will spend 2 and build the first Canadian. I get over here to England. I hate this stuff. Now, where did I put that dang? There it is. And I think I'm just going to drop it in Plymouth. I don't go any farther than Antwerp, you can't really do anything to me. So I can go ahead and put it in Southampton. I'll put it in Southampton. Okay, and that's the West. And the Soviets will be spending 20 to go get their surprise attack marker back in 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which will also come in May along with the American new one that they just rebuilt. So we definitely have another surprise attack marker coming then. If I can see a use for it in February, I might do the same thing and have them both have ones coming in May and June, and we'll have the British one in hand. So ultimately, it looks like we'll have more than enough surprise attack markers to try and break into Germany. Okay. So that was mobilizations. The Soviets. Diplomacy, nobody's talking, we're all fighting. I haven't conquered Germany yet. End of turn phase. Stuff coming off the turn track. The Germans are basically getting their stuff back. tank, their jets, and they get a submarine, so maybe they can recover a factory from the Russians. The Russians get their 3 tank markers back and their heavy artillery. That was some very lucky die rolls by the Russians. And some very unlucky die rolls by the West. If they'd have taken Aachen, the Germans would be much, much worse hurt than they are now. And I got another Russian surprise attack marker. And I got the British surprise attack marker. And we have the infamous paradrop piece. Put it on top of the tanks. Tanks can't be used for anything anyway. And the Russians got a partisans marker. Wow. That's something. And so, that is going to be the Soviet operations phase and end of turn stuff for the January 1945 turn. That poor weather made all the difference in the world because the surprise attack markers actually gave us some really good attacks. I just couldn't roll dice very well for the West. But the Russians, as you saw, had it's a prime example of things you can do if you have things like heavy artillery and airplanes and you outnumber your opponent in quality. You can actually get off some decent attacks, even though you can only do them one at a time. You just have to keep rolling infantry up, and that's how the Russians do it in poor weather. So, next turn, next time we come back, we will start off with February 1945, and we'll see how things go forward from there. This is Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And we will be back, whatever episode number I'm up to, 62 next time, I think it is. I think I'm at 61 now. With 2 to 3 part videos. As the war continues and starts to wind down to its conclusion, we'll see if the Germans can hang on. Until then, bye-bye.